All right, so we're back with our weather outlook here for the next week or so. Actually, the GFS has been getting a little bit better, so we'll say the 10-day outlook is pretty accurate. But Tuesday, more severe rain to the areas that we're seeing it now. And right behind it is another low-pressure system, so the atmosphere is reloading once again. Tulsa, Oklahoma City, most of Kansas, Missouri, parts of Nebraska, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, the mid-Atlantic states, New Jersey, Philadelphia. More of the same. And that is what our radar is showing as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at the link here on weather.com. Clusters of thunderstorms will bring on heavy rain from the plains to Ohio Valley and the mid-Atlantic this week. Downpours will likely trigger flash flooding. Scattered severe storms are possible as well each day, which right now, that's what we're kind of experiencing.
You know, we've had some pretty nasty storms across.
Yes, we did. All right, heavy rain could cause localized flash flooding across expansive area from southern and central plains to the Ohio Valley and mid-Atlantic states this week. Scattered severe storms are possible each day as well, posing mainly a risk of damaging wind gusts to large hail. Here's a current look at our radar before we went on live. Guys, I don't know if you noticed this, but we've got two major systems affecting the United States right now, kind of like a bookend effect, where you've got the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, Mississippi Valley experiencing scattered thunderstorms, also along North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, D.C., Baltimore area. And then behind that, we're watching out for severe weather outbreaks here in Texas near Amarillo and parts of Colorado into the western part of Kansas, Nebraska dealing with showers, as well as Iowa. So we've got two systems right now cranking out weather at the current moment. A frontal system has stalled out the plains eastward on the mid-Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley, and mid-Atlantic. Humid air is being pulled northward to stall this frontal boundary, providing ample moisture. The jet stream is also sending disturbances into the same general region, igniting clusters of thunderstorms common in the summer months. This will lead to areas of heavy rain, locally heavy rain, near that stalled out front area. And you can see it here, folks, where the stalled front is. The outer edge of it's actually right here where this front is stalled out. So where we see this front that's stalled out is the heaviest rain that we're going to be getting through Thursday. So this is an additional from what we were showing you guys earlier for the 6 to 8 inches of rain through Tuesday. And now this same area is expecting another 2 to 3, possibly even more than 4 inches of rain in the Portsmouth and Chillicothe, Ohio region as well. Localized flash flooding is possible with any of these thunderstorm clusters, especially where the ground is saturated in parts of this zone. Flash flood watches have been issued by the National Weather Service from the mid-Mississippi and Ohio valleys eastward through the mid-Atlantic, as well in parts of the central high plains. Here we have the severe thunderstorm outlook. This is just a possibility of severe weather in these regions. Nothing immediate or guaranteed. And looking at the flood river status, starting to see some improvement. Lots of moderate flooding still along the Mississippi. Still major flooding in the Mississippi, Louisiana region. But for the most part, we are starting to see a little bit of receding water as we move through the summer. Hopefully it continues. But with all this rain coming in, storm after storm after storm, it's really become a little troublesome, especially those who live along the Mississippi and the Ohio Valley, Central Plains, Oklahoma, Texas. This pattern continues to repeat. Let's take a look at our GFS outlook through tonight. That region we were just mentioning, more rain moving in right behind it on Wednesday, June 19th. It'll fire up again across that same region that got the rain through Tuesday, 5 a.m., intensifying massively, I should say, on Thursday, June 20th. And some of these areas in Illinois that are already more than flooded out will continue to see that heavy rainfall. Most of Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Guess what? More snow to the upper elevations to Montana and Idaho on Friday, June 25th. Heavy rain in southwest Ohio also. That's going to affect the Ohio River, Cincinnati. We're already seeing lots of rain in these regions as we speak right now. This system will move off to the east into the Atlantic. Right behind it, the Midwest, a little bit of a break, but then we get some more rain firing up again 2 days later across Illinois and central Indiana, diving into the Kentucky-Tennessee Valley. And high pressure building up in the south has kind of kept things relatively dry as well too, but that changes as well in the future. Sunday, July 23rd, more rain reloads in the atmosphere. This time, heavy moisture is going to be more in the northern part of the Midwest. Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois, Indiana, Ohio once again, before we see 24 hours later another batch of heavy precipitation to break out across Iowa, Missouri, Kansas City, Wichita, northern Oklahoma. As this continues to move forward, Monday, June 24th, more rain to the region in the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, Atlantic states. Again, development across the Tennessee Valley. Heavy rain this time on the East Coast, the Carolinas and Virginia. Right before that, another low pressure system breaking out across the Wisconsin, northern Iowa region once again. But it's been very quiet in the south, and then we start to get some shower activity here towards the end of June, but a very weird pattern of moisture just all over the eastern United States, the Ohio Valley, the Central Plains, guys. Look at this. This is the best news I've seen in a long time. More than 3 days of dry weather expected in the beginning, early part of July. So Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, drier times ahead in early July, but Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, and then parts of the South continue to get inundated with moisture, just one after another. Now, good news. Let's go to this first. Actually, I want to look at the North American. Okay, good news. So far, we don't see any kind of Atlantic or tropical system moving through the Gulf or any kind of low pressure system moving through the Atlantic. Taking a look at our weather map here for our friends up north in Canada, and the pattern is clear as well. Lots of moisture moving across eastern Canada, southeastern Canada as well, and the northwest for the United States, the southwestern part for Canada. Still snowing up in northern parts of Canada as well. So not just the United States getting inundated with moisture right now, but our neighbors up north. Let's check out what's happening in Australia for the next several days. High pressure seems to cook over the middle of Australia, keeping things relatively dry for the most part, as we see a system in the southwestern part trying to make an impact, but not really. So really the weather here in Australia for the next several days, after some of the freak weather we've seen, we could be experiencing some drier weather, but at the end of June there is some indications that we could see more moisture in the southwestern part of Australia. But for the most part, folks, pretty boring at this point. Now, there might be some indications here at the end where we see a couple of low pressure systems approaching the southeastern region of Australia. That could be a potential for storms to watch. But at this point as well, we're not seeing anything immediate. And again, at the end of that, I want to show you this real quick too. At the end of this, boy, there were some snow chances once again in the southeastern part of Australia. Now, this region doesn't usually get snow. So the fact that we're getting cold enough temperatures in this part of the continent here on the 18th and 19th of June is something to watch as well. Let's take a look at our weather for our friends across the pond. Put that into motion as well. We've seen footage of a flight coming from parts of Europe into northern Italy where they hit a lot of turbulence. And kind of the same thing we see here, a pulse of activity that kind of fires up through the day and then goes away overnight and then comes back the next day a little stronger. Many opportunities for moisture for the UK coming up in your near future as well, in the 25th of June and moving forward, where cooler temperatures and rain will continue to fall across that region. Denmark, you should see some rain as well. Several chances over the next several days for you. Parts of France as well. Spain, another low pressure system expected to make an impact. Not as bad as what we just saw here recently, but plenty of moisture to go all the way around, folks. The only place that's dry right now, if you don't like rain, looks like you need to take a trip to Australia for a few weeks, because that's about the only spot that I'm seeing right now that's avoiding this wet pattern. How are the temperatures looking? About the same. South, southwest, going to get most of the heat. The northeast, the northwest, we're starting to see a little bit of warmth building up here in the future. June 24th, about time. Mid-80s in the northeast. It's about time. I know some of you folks in Ohio, 85 degrees for June 25th really isn't that hot, but it's about normal summertime temperatures here for us. Most of us, all the way up into the northern plains. Now, this is where we're going to start seeing a lot of problem, too, with a lot of snow melt in Colorado when we start seeing these 90-degree temperatures reach all the way up to Montana, Colorado, and boy, the Southwest is just cooking. But some odd-looking readings here on the 28th of June. Some lower, cooler temperatures in regions of North Carolina and South Carolina. And then right smack in the middle of Pennsylvania, a high of 71 as it is surrounded by 80s all over the place at that point. But we move forward to July and the high temperatures. Definitely we see a lot of hot weather coming up, folks. So if you were missing summer, hang on to your hats. Mid-June, late June, we're going to see summer-like conditions to the majority of the United States through the rest of June. And when we get to the beginning of July, again, a lot of that heat staying in the south across the central plains. So we will see some summer-like temperatures here in the near future, right on cue as far as where we should start seeing these hot temperatures. Northeast though, looking at mid-70s, low 80s, about usual for here. But still, July 3rd, and we're still getting readings in Maine at 68 degrees for a daytime high. Same thing in the corners in the northwest, 66 degrees for daytime highs on July 3rd in 2019, right before the 4th of July as well. So, summer is here, but we still have a lot to watch. We have crops to watch. We have tons of rain, flooding, earthquakes, volcanoes. And how long is this heat going to last? Is it possible we see a very hot summer and then right around August we see things sharply start to cool again, and by the time we get to September it feels like October? I mean, if the southern hemisphere in Australia, where their winter this year, their winter weather started much earlier, about 2 months earlier on the cold. Is that any indication of what's going to happen in the United States, especially in the Northeast and the Northwest and the Midwest? It could be. So enjoy this hot weather while you can, folks. Enjoy it while you can. That's all I got to say. Because this has been a busy week. We've had so much disclosure. And I say disclosure because when NASA comes out and acknowledges the weakest cycle in 200 years, and then they give us a presentation on how that's going to happen, and they show how weak 25 is going to be. Impressive. Lots happening really fast. We got to watch food prices now. So, again, guys, we have to adapt. There's no sweet spot. There's no Goldilocks zone. We have to adapt. We have to learn survival skills, and it may have to come to that. I'd be shocked at the rate that we're losing crops right now. I'd be shocked if we're not depending on our own food growth by next spring. The direction that we're seeing this weather right now, I'd be shocked. And that's not fear porn. Not when we have a graph like this. This is frightening. This should be down here somewhere. This is skyrocketing. An indication is it's going to continue to go. If the weather continues to, I mean, my goodness, yeah, we're finally getting hot weather mid-June, late June, 25th, dry weather. Great. I mean, when's your first frost going to be? Is it going to be in September? Is it going to kill a harvest? Is it possible? Maybe. We'll see. Anything's possible. We saw snow all the way through up until June in the Northwest and Montana. So why wouldn't we see snow in those regions early again? Possibly the first week of October this year if it's cold enough, right? All right, that's going to do it for me tonight. Mari, did you want to say hello to everybody in the chat before we sign off tonight?
Oh, Jake, there is so much I want to say. I'm going to try to get through it as quick as possible. First, I'd like to say hi to Carlos Ramirez. He hasn't been in the chat for a while. I'd like everyone to follow him on Twitter if you can. His Twitter is LPDLC Ramirez on Twitter. Great information. He'll be right there with Starman. Grant's in New Zealand. He had a hard frost this morning. Brad was talking about how he's discussing GSM and he gets treated like it's a conspiracy. My answer to that now is basically we have the forecast for the next solar cycle direct from NASA. We have the history of what happened 200 years ago, struggles up and down. And that's just bare minimum. Apparently, if you read the report, the sunspot numbers are lower than the Dalton minimum. I haven't dug into it too much. I will do tomorrow. Space Weather Monkey says, Jake, your reporting has grown leaps and bounds. Keep up the hard work, y'all. Killing it.
Trying.
So it's tough doing live shows. We do get a lot of people chuckling about the pronunciations and all that. And as much as I make fun of you, and I tried to keep the peanut gallery down to a minimal tonight, Jake, it's tough doing live shows. And I personally hate I hate speaking live. I'm so nervous and anxious for some reason. I just do better on recorded. So Jake, you do a really great job.
Well, thank you.
All you did bore you did bore the hell out of some people with your baseball stats, but
we'll get over it.
Most people hung in there and we got through it. Stop doing that, Jake.
Well, hey, listen, when I have a chance to put sports somehow into this, you know me. I mean, it's a passion and a love of mine, but damn it, I'm not going to let them attack my sports. I'm not going to have them blame global warming on things that I know is not true. So I had to. Sorry about that, folks.
So Michael says, can't get anything to grow and garden here in Joplin, Montana. Too much rain. We have a few people in our Facebook group who've shared pictures. I will be sharing those soon on the channel of failed gardens, struggles with bugs, disease, bad soil conditions. If you have pictures or stories you want to send me, probably the easiest email address is just gomarigo@gmail.com. I'm trying to assemble just a subscriber story of struggles right now. I think that would be interesting to see what people are doing, what their challenges are. Maybe if you have something you've battled through and had some success with, definitely let us know. Sharing this information is really important. Hugbug Bugbear. I like that name. Got 200 pounds of wheat berries and flowers. They just got a homestead property and put deposit on dairy goats. So she or he is full speed ahead with prepping. Well done. A lot of people can't do that, but that's major. So well done on that. Matt Bros did a super chat. Thank you so much, Matt. We know you're a struggling farmer. You don't have to send us any money, to be honest. We really appreciate it, but man, to hear your stories, what you've been telling Jake and the struggles you've been through on your farm,
Matt tried to justify it to me the other day, and he's got his crop. He's a smaller farm, but it's still with what we have on the horizon. I mean, it almost humbles us. Maybe we'll just have to send him something like a.
Might have to send him a t-shirt.
Yeah, because honestly, Matt, your support, your information is the best donation to this channel because we get we hear it from the farmer's mouth. We get to hear information, see pictures, and that's happening a lot. So again, we appreciate your support out there, Matt. Thank you again.
He also says they weren't fracking in 1811.
Exactly.
And I get why people are saying fracking. I get it. But the problem is, my biggest concern is the fault line is a major concern. If you understand John Casey's upheaval book, the dangers that are forecasted, we are past due by 30 years for something major to happen. So we have our eyes on it, and we're not going to be blindsided and just write off things as fracking because we know the history and the facts about that region, and we're descending into a grand solar minimum, and John Casey's forecasts are very accurate. And then we have Tantric Sky Flounder. What an interesting username there. She or he, I don't know who, what, weird usernames. I don't know. I love wearing my gray Grand Solar Minimum t-shirt to the grocery store. They also got a 24-quart pressure canner a few years ago, and they recommend everyone to do the same. It's time consuming, but they're loaded with vegetables, beef stews, soups, and sauces. So a pressure canner. So interesting to hear what other people are doing. Central Florida Prepper has some advice. Just get a year's worth of non-perishable food that you put into normal rotation, and then buy in those inexpensive $20 shelf life goods. And we have a few buckets of those, like freeze-dried food, rations, and that kind of stuff. So let me see what else I got. Brian says, pro tip, buy a stand-up freezer. Buy a whole beef from a farmer, process it at a butcher, fill your freezer. The cheapest way to go for beef, lots of protein. People have done an excellent job in the chat tonight sharing their ideas. And last but not least, Thor. He says, everyone, please learn to grow, hunt, fish, and forage your own food if you don't already. And by the way, Jake, he's still mourning over the Bruins losing Game 7 of the Stanley Cup last week.
Well, sorry to hear that, my friend. I'm a Sabres fan, so can't say I can sympathize for you at this point. We didn't even make the playoffs. But, folks, this was a jam-packed information show tonight. Mario will break it down for us into 3 parts. Tomorrow we release it. That way you have time to just check out the parts that really matter the most to you, as well as our solar updates tomorrow as well. Our next live show is going to be on Wednesday, June 19th, 2019.
We'll have the new USDA weekly crop report to go over at that time as well. So you guys, thank you. It's been a pleasure in the chat. Hope you all have a great night. It's all yours, Jake.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Please tune in Wednesday night to our next live broadcast. We will go over the next crop report from the USDA, as well as we'll have a solar update tomorrow, and then Wednesday another solar update along with a Grand Solar Minimum news program at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you for tuning in once again, and we will talk soon.